Multiples are the product of multiplying the number that you're looking at times some other number. Okay, so let's say that I ask you, what are multiples of 3? Well, let's start multiplying. 3 times 1 is 3. That's a multiple. 3 times 2 is 6. 2 is not a multiple. The 6, the product of that multiplication is. 3 times, what was that? 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 5 is 15, and on and on and on. All of these products of multiplying 3 times something else are all multiples of 3. The way I like to think about it is, in class you might have heard me talk about the multiple monster. Okay, so when you think about a monster, you know those movies where like it's you standing and then your shadow actually turns out to be something scary and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and oh my gosh, it's a scary monster? Monsters are always big, right? They're not tiny. So multiples get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and never stop. You can always make more multiples, just like in your nightmares, there's like always more monsters. So let's say this was 12. 12 times 1 is 12. 12 times 2 gets bigger is 24. 12 times 3 gets bigger is 36. Times 4, 48. Getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You can keep going times 5, times 6, times 100, times 1,000,000, and you can always have more and more multiples of 12. Unlike factors, where the numbers get smaller and smaller, right? Your factor ninja chops them up, and there are only a limited number of factors. You can have an unlimited number of multiples, but the thing to remember is multiples are either the same size as you, monsters either like your size, or bigger. You're never going to get smaller than your original number that you start with. So if I ask you to list 4 multiples of 20. I should never see anything smaller than 20 in that list, because multiple monsters aren't small and tiny. They get bigger and bigger and bigger and scarier and scarier and scarier. So, a multiple of 20. The one that I always go for is 20 times 1, because why not do that super easy multiplication and get a point right there. Then you could say, let's say 20 times 10 is 200. And 20 times 100 is 2,000. And 20 times 2 is 40. So it doesn't need to be listed in any particular order. It doesn't need to go like times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4. You can list whatever multiples you want, and you should never ever run out of possibilities. Maybe you didn't feel like doing 20 times 198,942, but you could if you felt like that was the multiple you wanted to list. So listing multiples, there are an infinite number of possibilities. Listing factors, there are a limited number of factors, because if you had to list factors of 20, there are only so many numbers you can multiply together to get 20. So you could list 1 and 20, those are 2 factors, 2 and 10, that's 2 more, 4 and 5. But whereas I could have told you list 8 multiples of 20, I could not tell you to list 8 factors of 20 because there are only 6 of them and that's it. Nothing else is going to multiply together, no other whole number, to equal 20. So factors, limited. A limited number of possibilities. Multiples, oops, where's my back button? Multiples are an unlimited possibilities. And that is what you need to know about multiples.